Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and the time for Ask a Herbert Erpaderp is now upon us. Ask a Herbert Erpaderp with me, Herbert Erpaderp, is fast becoming Jer's favourite YouTube question and answer video that comes out on a Wednesday and features me, Herbert Erpaderp. That's awesome! Of all the question and answer videos that come out on Wednesdays and feature me, Herbert Erpaderp, I'm really pleased that you like mine more than the rest. Jer says, I thought you might like to know there is a Furious Tank Commander from Footsore Miniatures if you ever decide to tackle that Easy 8. He includes a link, which I will also post in the description below. That is a rather cool looking mini. In fact, a lot of their stuff looks quite good. I really like the John Finch miniature. No relation to a certain Captain Jack, I'm sure. I am sure the postage would be more than the cost of the model itself, so it would probably make sense to order a few models. That seems like the perfect excuse to me. There are quite a few that I'm tempted to get. I do enjoy checking out minis from companies that I've never heard of before, so I might actually order some of these. Here are a few questions asked on Monday's video about the fantastic Rubicon M3A1 half-track. Boar Harms asks, which kit was more fun to build? This, or the Rubicon SDKFZ 251 Hanomag? He says he's starting to build an army and likes the German stuff, but would consider the US if it's really fun to build. I would say the M3 was more fun to build, though both are very good kits. The indecisive and irresponsible part of me says why not just build both US and German stuff? Though, if you're really into all the cool tanks that the Germans get, and only want one army, I would just go for the Germans. If you do go with the Germans, you could also get the Stuka zu Fuss version of the Hanomag, which is awesome. Dalton Vickers says, the Rubicon is a much more detailed model. It is. Not to say that the Warlord version is bad, it's just that the Rubicon model's details seem to stand out more and have a little more depth, and it certainly has more options, which I think is quite important. Kyle Mathers asks, any idea what the rollers on the front of the half-track were used for? I've always wondered. Good question. I am of course no expert, but I believe it is to stop the vehicle from getting stuck in ditches and for driving up very steep surfaces. Obviously not up walls, but I would imagine it would help the half-track driving up onto ledges and things like that. If it didn't have the roller, the front bumper would just dig in and get stuck in the ground, and the half-track would have to struggle a lot harder against the friction to free itself. Seems like a pretty clever idea to me. And now for a couple of comments posted on my War Thunder Valentine video. The K Salad says, if you load HE and try to shoot directly under their tracks, you could detrack friendly tanks. And Jer says, a favourite tactic my mate and I use when teammates are acting like grade A bellends is to follow them and park behind them so they can't retreat when taking fire. Or if you're in a heavier tank, pushing them out is always fun. You guys are evil. I like that. I normally don't actually get annoyed with terrible people in games, and I usually get over it pretty quick if I do. That said, I'm not all that concerned with doing well in games, and I'm happy to miss out on some damage or points or whatever if I can amuse myself by being a dick in retaliation to people that are deliberately being obnoxious. I am certainly guilty of parking behind people who have previously done the same to me. I'm also guilty of trying to provoke people in games that get too serious and ragey. That probably makes me a bad person. I like to ask if they're okay, if they need a hug, and suggesting that they calm down. In World of Tanks, I think it's really funny when you see somebody die and immediately say, noob team! It's kind of become an in-joke with Barnaby and I. The following comments were posted on my recent GTA video. The Watcher says, very good helicopter parking there, and of course, very sensible way to drive to work. I'm a pro helicoptersman. I'm so good that I can make the helicopter put itself away after I'm done using it. Yeah, that's it. Also, I've ridden in Barnaby's car, and if anything, he does more jumps in real life. He's a maniac! Okay, that might be a lie, but he's still a maniac. Yet another scout says, well, you are very casual about burning to death. Yeah, it's just a little bit of fire, nothing to be worried about. It doesn't take too long to respawn, just like real life. No need to worry. On my Green Stuff Rollers video, Jer mentioned the basiest basing pads he saw on Kickstarter, and also says that he uses Vaseline or a spray wax as a mold release, and that a quick scrub with soapy water and a toothbrush and you're in business. I actually saw those basing pads on Kickstarter too. I couldn't really afford to pledge at the time, but they did look good. I kind of forgot about them. I've actually got a spray can of mold release agent intended for use with resin casting, and I'd imagine it would work quite well. I should have thought of that. Unfortunately, I'm a doofus. Water does work well enough for me so far, but I would think that mold release or Vaseline might be better for more complex things, and options are always good. Good thing I already have a crappy toothbrush for cleaning resin kits before painting, so I won't need to use somebody else's. On my Crix painting video, Your Silver Lining says, wow, first comment, even though I have no interest in this, I can definitely use these techniques. That's the kind of attitude I like. It's good to be able to observe and adapt techniques and ideas for different purposes. McGobbo posted this comment on my recent Warlord Hetzer video. He says he ordered a Hetzer and Flampanzer Hetzer from Warlord last week. They've remade the chassis by the looks of things, as my Hetzer is a one-piece body and tracks. The Flampanzer is still like your Hetzer, only much cleaner, so they must have sorted out the molds. I am glad to hear that. I guess maybe the model I got was an old one that had been sitting on the shelf for a while. It came from a retailer here in Australia rather than directly from Warlord, so it's entirely likely. The one I got was pretty bad, so I would certainly hope they'd sorted out the molds. The rest of the questions are more general Ask a Herbert Erpaderp questions. Aaron Van Horn says, what is your opinion on the T-90A, M1A2 Abrams, and Leopard 2A6? I'm more a fan of older tanks from around World War II and the 50s. More modern tanks are impressive and full of all kinds of high-tech stuff, but for me, they kind of lack the charm that older tanks have, for lack of better words. Of all those choices, I think the T-90A is the most interesting looking. Gaming with Jacob 342 is pleased about there being a video before school and asks when I will paint the Sherman Calliope and the M10s. I don't really have any plans to paint those soon. I will probably do the Calliope before the M10s, probably sometime after I finish the Grimball's Beast tanks. I might actually work on them at the same time, though I don't know. He also says I don't have to use his full YouTube name and can call him Jacob. You can't tell me what to do! Hansel Kang says, what kind of army carrier do you use for your Flames of War models? I have this Flames of War branded bag made by Battle Foam. It's pretty good, though it wasn't exactly cheap. I bought the standard loadout version, but you can get it with a custom loadout of foam. They do make quite a lot of different foam trays for various sizes of models, including some with cutouts for planes. They also seem to have specific trays for Vietnam and Team Yankee models. And of course they make foam trays for other games as well, like Bolt Action, X-Wing, Malifaux, Warhammer, and a whole load more. I like that the top and side of the bag opens, and the pockets on the sides are pretty helpful too. Can Burke Owner says, Italeri has a Fury replica, but it's in 1/35th scale. What's your favourite video game? A 1/35th scale Fury replica does sound kind of good to me. I might see if I can get a hold of one. Of course, I couldn't use it for a game, but it would be cool to build. At the moment, War Thunder is the game I'm enjoying most, but I have no idea how long that will last. I'm not a big fan of picking favourites, but there is always a game that I play more than others. It does change fairly frequently. I guess I go through phases. For a while, I played mostly World of Tanks, and then GTA. It changes over time. There are also games that I really like, but don't play, like EVE Online. Every now and then I see something about, say, the Battle of Asakai, and I feel all nostalgic and consider resubbing, but it always ends up eating huge chunks of time. In response to my reply to his question about music in last week's Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, Kelgtar says, wow, I was surprised by your answer. I actually play in a death metal band. Do you want to hear it? No clean vocals though. By the way, I totally agree with your opinion on tournament gaming. I guess I don't really act like the stereotypical metal fan or anything like that. I don't really wear metal shirts or anything anymore, so people are kind of surprised that I like it. But then, some metalheads are surprised that I like non-metal music too. I don't like to identify myself by the music I enjoy. I would love to hear your band. I always like to hear new stuff. I'll send you a message on Steam later. Mike B quotes me saying, I can't imagine why I would care what they think, and says, well said, if only more people thought this way. I agree. I think it's important to think for yourself and come to your own conclusions on things, even if it runs counter to what other people think or want. Of course, it is a good idea to hear the opinions of others and take them into consideration, but that's all they are. Opinions, and you don't have to care about them at all. Some people mistake this kind of attitude as arrogance, but I would rather be thought of as arrogant than spend all my energy on worrying about what people think or trying to comply with the will of others. Probably not the most eloquent way of putting it, but I think you get my point. Cameron Wolf asks, if you had to serve in the military, which branch would you serve in? I had a channel for a while, but I deleted it because it was going nowhere. Do you have a pet? If so, what type of animal are they? I have no idea. I imagine if I was forced into the military, I wouldn't have a choice in which branch that would be. Most likely infantry cannon fodder. It might be fun to be a tanker and cruise about in a tank, but if there was combat, I would rather be as far away from it as possible, so I don't know. Air Force? I'd not want to be in the infantry. I have absolutely no desire to kill or die for the government and the rich. It can be hard starting a YouTube channel. I would recommend persistence, though only if you actually enjoy making videos. I remember when I started, it sometimes felt as though I was making videos for nobody and speaking into the void, which isn't all that fun, so I can understand making videos becoming a chore if you don't enjoy the video making process, and it's perfectly fine to stop doing something if you're not enjoying it or seeing the results you wanted. I guess it's fortunate that I do enjoy editing, and very slowly more people started watching, which I'm thankful for. I have pet mice. They fall under the same breed really, but I have a few with different colorations and some Manx, which have no tail, like this little guy, Boris. He's a Manx with brindle coloration. I like brindles because they have an almost tiger stripe look to their fur. Unfortunately, the female mouse that I had him with was a bit too aggressive in grooming him and has removed a bit of the fur from around his neck. So he's alone again now, but he'll be okay. The fur should grow back. On one of my older videos about building the Flames of War V1 flying bomb diorama, A3 Boys says, "Does getting paint all over your hands irritate you?" No, not really. It's mostly just acrylic paint and it comes right off. Primer does take a bit of scrubbing to remove, but it's not a big deal. I've never noticed any kind of skin irritation from it, but if people are worried about that kind of thing, I would suggest latex gloves. They're pretty cheap. I find them uncomfortable though, especially in the heat, so I don't wear them unless I really have to. Even if it does sometimes result in me having strange looking nail polish. Kyle Mathis asks, how many Herbert Erpaderps could Herbert Erpaderp if a Herbert Erpaderp could Erpaderp Herbert Erpaderp? Jacob says, over 9,000! I think I might have answered this before, but I can't remember what that answer was. I guess it depends. Is it an African or European Herbert Erpaderp? Chud Chudsley says, hi Herb, what's your favourite food? This is yet another thing where I find it impossible to choose a favourite. There's just so much good food out there. I do love a good pizza, and many years ago I would have said that that's what I liked best. In recent years, a friend and I have been going out and trying various different kinds of food from around the world that we've not tried before. It's really good, and I would suggest everyone do the same from time to time. I guess we're fortunate in that Brisbane is fairly multicultural. There is a lot to choose from. I think so far the most enjoyable has been Ethiopian food. It is delicious and it was pretty cheap. Just the other day we went to a Swiss place for fondue, which was really great. I'd had homemade fondue a couple of months previous, so I guess it wasn't technically something new for me, but I would recommend it. I'd always seen fondue being mocked in movies and stuff, since I guess it stopped being so popular in the US or something. But you shouldn't let that kind of thing stop you from trying something new. If anyone watching happens to be familiar with Brisbane and has any interesting suggestions for places to eat, I'm all ears, unless it's seafood. I don't like seafood. In a somewhat related question, Girthy42 says, what's your favourite type of pizza? Pizza master rates. In my opinion, it's hard to beat barbecue meat pizzas. Heh beat meat. Barbecue meat is usually what I'll get from a place I'm unfamiliar with, or from the generic delivery places like Pizza Hut or Domino's. I also like Hawaiian pizza, either chicken Hawaiian or the kind with ham. I love me some pineapple on pizza. Some places have really nice pizzas that aren't barbecue meat or Hawaiian, and it varies from place to place which ones I like best, but those are my primary choices. For some reason, I feel like eating pizza now. Gerpy also says he forgot the winner of the Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, in which he challenged Barnaby and I to say things, and it turns out I'm the winner. Haha, suck it Barnaby, I am the champion wordsmans. Wahoo Warrior says, thank you so much for the shout out. That was a big surprise. I'm thrilled you enjoy my channel. You're most welcome. I feel like I've learned a bit about the game from your videos, though I'm forgetful, so I will still get things wrong. But it's been helpful and interesting. Keep up the good work. Wildfire Hooligan says, do you think you will ever get a small battle report up on your channel? As an avid grognard, that's a great word. I love historical and non-historical tabletop games, and modelling and painting is just half the story with these guys. Yep, Barnaby and I played a game the other weekend, and I did film it, but the footage I got wasn't quite satisfactory. To be fair, that setup was a bit hasty and I didn't put as much thought or effort into it as I think I should have. At this stage, I'm likely just going to scrap that footage, because it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. I do have a better plan for the next time we play though, which should be in the coming weeks. So there will be battle reports coming in the near future. Barnaby lives on the other side of the city and he has kids and stuff, so it can be hard to sort out frequent games, but you will see something soon. Hopefully it's good. Michael Hess asks, is there a model out there you want, but feel too intimidated by its construction or paint scheme to attempt right now? No, not really. I think the main barrier between me and some of the models that I want is their cost. I don't feel intimidated by models, and I think it's a bit silly to do so. They are just models, and the worst thing that could happen is I could fuck it up, but I would still learn, and could probably fix it or make use of it in some way or another. The rat tank that I have, while not quite intimidating to paint, is a little bit daunting, I guess, for lack of better words. Mostly because it's so huge. It's a big project, and I will actually need a little bit more space to work on it comfortably. I'm definitely going to start on it one day though. Jacob says, can you do a Panzer IV tank next please? I don't have any unbuilt Panzer kits laying around, or any immediate plans to buy any. I do have an unpainted resin Warlord Panzer IV, but I don't plan to paint it anytime soon, and it would never get done by Monday anyway. It does take me a fairly long time to put my model building videos together, and I like to try to get them done in advance. Next Monday's video is almost complete now, and I tend to plan them a few weeks ahead of time. I don't usually just randomly decide what model I'm going to do on the day the video goes up or anything like that. That would result in poor quality videos that I wouldn't be happy with. That said, I do plan to get a Rubicon Panzer IV and possibly the Warlord version at some point in the coming months, because I want to try and play Tank War with Barnaby sometime, and because Panzer IVs are cool. And finally, Jacob says, almost 1k subs, Herbert. Yeah, that is awesome. I do enjoy seeing that number go up. A big thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I think when I hit 1,000, I'll try doing some subscriber games or something like that. Maybe War Thunder or even Heroes and Generals, though I've not played that for ages. So if you haven't subscribed already, you should do that. I guess unless you don't want to. Also, it would be really helpful if you share my channel, or any specific videos you found entertaining or helpful with friends or anyone you think might like them. As is tradition, you'll be able to see all the videos I've uploaded since last week's Ask Herbert Erpaderp. Clicking on them will open them in a new window, so if you haven't already, feel free to check those out. If you have any suggestions, questions or comments, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section below. You can also do so via Facebook or Twitter. I'll likely answer them in next week's Ask Herbert Erpaderp. As always, keep watching the skies! Thanks for watching. Farewell.